Welcome back to the Irish Mags Show. It is episode 78. We're just 1 week older once again. Alan Williamson, who joins me today. I'm Paul. I'll be your host. Alan, how are you doing, especially given the breaking news that we have a break from Chris Show this week? It's been a while since we had a Chris Show break. I think we're
Yeah, no, it's great. It's absolutely fantastic. Come here, you 3 weeks with him, 1 week without him. I think that's the way it should go from now on.
There's a joke to be made about something that happens once a month, but Chris Show, unfortunately, is happening 3 times a month, and that's even worse. But we won't go there at all this week. What we will go to is the fact that the Irish Mags are proudly sponsored by Flagman Ireland, who specialise in quality, digitally printed, personalised flags, bunting tablecloths, table flags, and hand wavers. And their online store also stocks and sells a wide range of international and domestic flags, including the government standard tricolour and the Irish Mag standard Irish Mag selection of flags, which will be building up during the summer. That collection is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Alan Williamson is running out of wall space for all the flags he has scattered around the place. If you have any flag needs, please head over on to flagsireland.com. And speaking of flags, Alan, there's going to be Irish Mags flags in many, many countries next season.
There is.
And that is exactly what we're here to talk about, because on this week's podcast, myself and Alan, we're two distinguished gentlemen, two international businessmen that are quite fond of heading to the airport and jetting away to various trips to various places. And because it feels like a long time since the last Champions League campaign, we're going to spend the next 35-ish minutes talking about where would we like to go on our holidays next season when Newcastle United take to the Champions League new format. And it's slightly early, but we're too excited not to talk about it.
Yes.
We're gonna be taking into account that there are pots for this Champions League. There are certain teams we can and can't draw against. But really what we're going to do is we have 8 games in the Champions League guaranteed as per the new Champions League format. And 4 of those games will be away. And myself and Alan are going to debate and research and analyze and basically just talk about why we'd like to go here and there. Where would we, which away games, which away days would we most like? And Alan, if we get anywhere close, the pockets are going to be empty if we do have to start booking flights for all of these places once the draw is done. Yes. So for those of you that don't know, I'm going to make Alan do this. Alan,
Nice.
Your understanding of the new Champions League format, for anyone who's not aware, because some people don't follow the Champions League when Newcastle aren't in it, which means they've not followed it for, bar 2 seasons ago, they've not followed it for the bones of 20 years. This new Champions League format, in a nutshell, what does it mean? What's different?
So basically, it's one giant league. It's not group stages. So essentially, anyone could play anyone, bar the English teams can't play English teams, obviously, because that's not fair. But they've ranked the clubs into 4 pots via their coefficient ranking, which really is not a good thing for Newcastle because we are the lowest by some way in the coefficient ranking. We are
also not good for other teams because out of all those pot 4 teams, we're probably the one that no team wants. But it was the same before.
Like to put it into context, like Spurs are pot 3 and so are Napoli. Napoli won the league last year and they're a pot 3 side. Like you don't want to be.
And they've won the league twice in 3 seasons. It's wild, really, when you think about it.
It's a bit odd. Like, so you're kind of guaranteed an awful lot of very tough games, which is exactly what you want. Look, we're not going into the Champions League to play Slovan Bratislava or Slavia Prague or any of that. We want to be playing the big boys. We're in the big boy competition. We want to be playing against them. We want to be beating them. That's exactly what it is. So we
don't want like 8 games against the big ones because we already had a group of death 2 seasons ago. We don't want all 8 of the pot 1 teams. But of course we want big games. We want big teams. In particular, we do want some of those big teams coming to St. James's Park, and we are going to finish with that. But really, and Alan, draw your mind back to you and me sitting here recording a podcast about 25 episodes ago, which we call Latvia or Bust, because last season we were desperate to just even get Conference League, and Man United fucked us for that. But the karma's been balanced. Man United have made amends for their somehow miraculous beating of Man City in that FA Cup final. Because of that, we are now in the Champions League. And now, folks, we're looking at a graphic that I don't even know where we pulled it, Alan, but we might try and link it in the description. But long story short, we have a graphic that is the projected pots for the Champions League. It's not yet sealed. There's a few leagues and a few different, I don't know, permutations that is not fully settled. But as Alan alluded to, by and large, there are 4 pots that all the teams definitely fall into. Naturally, pot 1 is the biggest teams. You're looking at your Real Madrid, your Man City, your Bayern Munich, Liverpool, PSG, even though, come on, they're beatable, champions of Europe. And then the likes of like Inter, Barcelona, and then from there it kind of spreads around. But if we're in pot 4, basically there's 8 games, which means we will get a game or 2 against the pot 4 and a couple of games against pot 3s, but there are pot 2s and pot 1s. But what we care about the most, Alan Williamson, is where do we get to jet off to throughout the season next season? Those who did travel last time around we had fun trips to Milan at the very beginning. Milan was I missed them all for reasons I don't want to go into, but Milan was a massive one. Even the game in Paris was huge when we got scalded by this Tino Livramento handball ridiculousness. And Dortmund was arguably one of the great trips, even though the result didn't go well, just because it was Dortmund. So what we're going to do is pick out, looking at the pots, what we know roughly now. It may change in terms of we might pick a team or a location that becomes somewhere we can't go. But by and large, we reckon we can settle on 4 ideal dream destinations for Newcastle United fans to go on our holidays. Tickets or no tickets,
yes,
the Irish Mags will travel. Give us the opportunity, have boots, will travel. And just looking at it now, I mean, I'm not even gonna put it on the screen, this graphic, because it may change.
Yes,
most people are kind of aware of the Champions League kind of caliber. Everyone's aware of some of the bigger teams. Some interesting ones have landed in. You know, we got a coefficient spot. Villarreal have got a coefficient spot. There's teams in there from Norway, obviously France and Portugal. We've got Greek teams in there. There's Serbia. There's Denmark, Scotland, Belgium. Like we're talking, you know, a big spread of Europe. But the biggest question, Alan Williamson, which I hope you're ready for, despite the fact we've not done a whole lot of preparation for this, is if I used to say, right, Alan, Michael O'Leary is here beside me. He's got a Ryanair jet fueled and ready to go. Chris Shaw is flying the plane. Actually, no, I won't do that because then you won't get on it. Chris Shaw is nowhere near the plane. You're looking at these teams. You're looking at, right, we need to pick 4 away games, bearing in mind there's going to be 4 at home. But what's the ideal dream away day in the Champions League next season?
Well, to put this into context, at about Christmas time, I bagsied in the committee group that I would be doing Madrid away next year when we're in the Champions League. So my number 1 pick is Real Madrid away from home in the Bernabeu, and that's what I want.
And okay, I have a couple of questions on this.
Yes.
First of all, anyone who's seen the movie series Goal will remember Santiago Nunez and Gavin Harris playing for Real Madrid. That's not real. No. So there's 2 ways of looking at this. Playing in the Bernabeu. Have we ever played in the Bernabeu? I don't remember if Newcastle.
I don't think we have.
Not in our lifetime. No. We have obviously done the Nou Camp. Playing in the Bernabeu would be unbelievable. And again, whether we'd even get set foot inside the stadium, I don't even know. I love the idea of us playing Real Madrid. And the Bernabeu is iconic. They're fucking Real Madrid, though. Like, we've not even seen what they're about to embark on in this summer. Like, they're probably going to go off and win the, whatever you call it, the Club World Cup, because they're probably the only team that cares about it, because, you know, Barcelona won the league and, you know, Real Madrid have won nothing. They'll probably strengthen this summer. But I love the idea that we do play against Real Madrid, and we do, again, play against Mbappe. We've handled Mbappe before. It was fine.
Dan Burn has him in his pocket.
Scored a penalty against us. Like, come on, Jesus, I'm taking the piss. But going up against the Galacticos of Real Madrid is class. I still would. I kind of leaning towards I'd like them to come to St. James's Park and just be like, let's see who's a fucking Galactico now when you've got 52,000 Geordies roaring down your throat. But the Bernabeu is fairly iconic. Like, I don't know. For you, is it because of the Bernabeu rather than the Real Madrid?
No, I want to play Real Madrid in their backyard and say I've seen my side play in the ultimate competition against the ultimate team of the competition.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
my logic
fair.
behind it. Yeah.
I mean, the flip side, Alan, which we haven't really thought about in this one, is that's probably the hardest game you might be able to get in the Champions League. Do we really want this? Do we really want
Yes.
this?
You don't want to go into the Champions League and play against bad sides. We had a group of death before, and we didn't do too badly. We finished bottom of it, but we didn't do too badly. I want to play the best of the best. And we're going to do it. We're getting Madrid away.
Alan Williamson is a fighter, folks. That's just how it is. Okay, right. That's on for me. That's on the okay. I would accept it list, but there's still a few other places that I've got my eye on. Just sticking with that pot one. If I'm going to stick with another elite level team or another pot one top tier team, I'm from Galway, Alan, and if there's one thing we do well in Galway, it's hold a grudge. And I kind of want to go back to Paris, and I kind of want to go and right the wrongs. And also, they've just won the Champions League.
Yeah.
Now, in a season where the whole season's been all over the place in the Premier League, in many leagues, the Champions League, you know, a lot of the bigger teams crashed out when you wouldn't expect it. But I kind of feel like we have some unfinished business. And I'd love the idea of going to Paris and beating the Champions League reigning champions. I just feel like that would, I don't know, I just after the handball, the Tino Livramento, the fact that we smashed them in Newcastle, we should have, like, we deserved to beat them in Paris the first time around. We didn't. A little bit of unfinished business in Paris, I feel.
There's an awful lot of poetic justice there. Oh, 100%. There's an awful lot of poetic justice there. And if you turned around to me and said, oh, look, we have to go to Paris and Real Madrid have to come to St. James's, I wouldn't exactly be crying about it, if you know what I mean.
I mean, you don't really want to play both of them, but we do. You know, it's like, it is that, isn't it? Yeah. It's a funny one. Like, I mean, I'm looking at Bayern Munich and I'm like, yeah, we could go over to Munich and great, whatever. We've done Dortmund, the yellow wall and all that. But I don't know. I feel like not only would we be playing PSG and the reigning Champions League winners, the added incentive of the unfinished business with probably a big bunch of lads who were in Paris last time around. I feel like if you're going to get 3 points against someone in pot one away from home, there's a lot of meat there for us to get against PSG. But again, at the same time, the Bernabeu is special. Okay, I'm going to keep going here, Alan, and I'm going to diversify a little bit here. We're going to head for mainland Europe here. We're going to go a bit further afield. A place I've always wanted to go in terms of going to watch a football match overseas is Italy. And because of Football Manager reasons, I always wanted to go to Bologna. That's not happening in the Champions League. Atalanta, Bergamo looks unbelievable. We've done the San Siro. There's obviously, like, you know, Roma aren't there, so we can't sing that song. Stadio Olimpico's gone. You know, Juventus are in there, but they're just not who they used to be. I just think going to Atalanta, somewhere like Bergamo, there's like a uniquely European feel to Atalanta as a team, and I don't know. It's not. I don't say it's off the beaten track. It's fairly easy accessible. Ryanair flight. It's basically Milan Bergamo, so it's like, you know, it's like Ryanair Dublin Galway basically, because it's about an hour and a half outside Milan, but it is accessible. And I've seen that stadium. It's one of these, like, it's a small town and a club that's overachieving, massively passionate fan base. And there's a book I read recently. It's called The Working Hands of a Goddess, which is the nickname of Atalanta. I won't say it in Italian. If anybody wants a book recommendation, Tom Underhill is the author. Read this book. It's all about the rise of Atalanta. And I just fell in love with them as a club in terms of, like, the ethos and how they do things and bringing players through and humbleness. And it's just pure football. And just because I'm old school and I'm an old man, Alan, I kind of want to go to Bergamo and I kind of want to play Atalanta, even though they would be very hard to beat in their own turf.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. I would not be disappointed if we pulled Atalanta out. But
yeah, I mean, they're not an elite level team. They'd be very hard to beat. But I think their manager, who is what's his name again, oh my god, I'll never Gasperini. Gasperini,
yeah.
He, I think, is going to Roma, so they're in a bit of turbulence at the moment as well. So I just when I see it on paper, it's just somewhere I'd love to go. So give me one better than Atalanta if you can.
So from pot two, I think this team, it'd be a bit of a fairy tale to get them. and you might get me reference there. It's like a fucking fairy tale. Now, I have been to this place purely based because I will not stop quoting that film to my better half. She brought me to Bruges. And I don't understand how that film is so funny and so right about the place. It is actually like something out of Hansel and Gretel. The place is like a fucking fairy tale.
I can't do it justice, but can you just say what Colin Farrell says in the movie? He says, in fucking Bruges, but can you do it in your best Dublin accent?
In fucking Bruges.
In fucking Bruges.
So that's my selection. So Bruges are punching well above their weight when it comes to European rankings and who they've played against and who they've beaten recently. And they're a bit of a talent factory as well. They always seem to have, like, we both love Football Manager, Noah Langs, and etc. etc. They have pulled players that we've gone on to be very, very, very good players. So it wouldn't only be a great place to go, be a great scouting mission to say,
yes,
there's a couple of players I wouldn't mind seeing for us now in the next couple of years. They always have a very young side as well. And Belgium is very, very good for having very, very strong beer, as I can attest to. I had a pint of this stuff called Le Chouffe, and it was a little...
I know it well. I know it very well.
It was like 11.5%. I had 3 pints I couldn't see.
Rocket fuel. It's rocket fuel. And it doesn't look like it, even the color of it and the glass they serve it in. You would think, oh yeah, it's a nice French kind of or Belgian, sorry, like, you know, la-di-da, it absolute rocket fuel.
Kicked in the chest. It was like a kick in the chest from a horse. It was great.
This is coming from a man that drinks many cans of Monster a day. I like it. I do like it. I love the fact as well, like there's the massive Irish connection to Bruges from that movie in particular. We could just walk around and reenact the movie, basically.
Yeah.
And we'll go up in the tower and we'll go to all the different places. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm fully on board. Everyone would have to watch that movie. But you know what? We could watch it
on the flight over. On the flight over, exactly.
Yeah. We will just download it and watch it. We'll all watch in Bruges on the fucking flight. I'll tell you what, and I'll tell you this for nothing. Brendan Gleeson has a house down in the direction of my hometown in South County Galway, going into North County Clare. I have met the man in the pub in Kinvara. I served him in the shop when I was working in a butcher counter. He ordered the biggest T-bone steak you've ever seen. He's a giant of a man, and he's known to whip out the violin and just start playing the fiddle inside in the pub. And I reckon I could track him down, get him to come with us. Just gonna throw it
Unreal.
Here we go. Brendan Gleeson loves the Irish Mags. Breaking news. Okay, so we've got Bruges, we've got Atalanta, we've got Real Madrid. We're gonna keep going. We'll pull out probably 6 or 7 of them, and then we'll try and settle on, okay, what's the dream here? You mentioned a team who was in my head before we even hit record in terms of saying, we don't want to play small teams. But Prague is an unbelievable city to go out in terms of, like, first of all, it's a lovely city. Like, it's got unbelievable bridges and just like, it's just very scenic and all the buildings, and it's very old school. It's so European. It's fucking cheap as hell in terms of going out. Just like, no, it's probably gone up since I was there 10 years ago. I was actually at a work trip, so I didn't really have to pay for anything. But it's cheap compared to fucking Dublin and definitely Galway as well. Slavia Prague, Champions League regulars. We have a little bit of an affiliation with the Czechs. Shout out Pavel Cernacek, maybe David Rosenhal. I'm running out of names already here very quickly. But just as a city, I think that the Irish Mags would have the absolute time of our lives going to Prague, going over there, and we'd have to go over for like 2 days. Yes. Get on the tour bus, get on the open top thing, go on a boat, whatever it is, and the nightlife. Without going into too much detail, because we'd have to censor everything, Alan. There's a lot of stuff to do in Prague at night, but what I mean is that the nightclub life, the pub life is class, and I think they'd be very accommodating to the Irish Mags.
Oh yes, they would absolutely love us. So I have actually been in Prague Stadium for a match. I seen Ireland play there many a year ago. Noel Hunt was sent off. Oh no, sorry, Stephen Hunt was sent off 5 minutes after coming on for kneeing Petr Cech in the head. About 6 months after, he nearly killed Petr Cech. So you're going, so he done it again. That we got beaten 2-0 by Czech Republic that night, but it was mental. And now I was only a kid, so I wasn't out sampling the nightlife, shall we say, but that didn't mean I wasn't out seeing the nightlife. The place was mental. It was rocking. This is a random Tuesday night. like midweek, and the place was
which it's going to be, and it's going to
rocking.
be
Yeah.
like, it will be a Tuesday or Wednesday. More importantly, so like we're going to need a place that can accommodate us. And from what I've seen, I think Prague is very accommodating.
Yes.
A lot of stag parties go over there, and as I said, just in terms of value as well, like, because we're going to be spending money going on all our holidays, Alan. I think Prague is definitely up there. I'll find it hard not to fight you to get Prague in the top 4.
All right.
Unless you can convince me otherwise, because there's plenty more options on this list. Who is your next shout?
So my pot 3 shout was going to be Ajax, because I've always wanted to see Ajax play, and sampling the nightlife of Amsterdam and all
Arena.
that jazz.
Mm.
3 little birds and all that jazz.
Alan knows his fiance listens to this podcast. She definitely doesn't, actually. She just listens outside the door. Amsterdam is unbelievable. I was there on a stag about less than a year ago. And again, 25 Irish lads. Yes, of course, Amsterdam is Amsterdam. We all know what goes on in Amsterdam in terms of various districts and shop windows. But equally, just class pubs, karaoke to be found all over the shop, which I wasn't expecting. It's small. You can walk everywhere. You don't really need to kind of be carting lads around, which again suits us. We can't even get around Newcastle without getting lost. We can't even get around Galway without getting lost, judging by the last meetup. Amsterdam is a deadly city. Again, like, there's like, barring the nightlife and like whatever certain lads and cafes that they like to partake in, there are things legal in Amsterdam that are not legal here. There is actually a whole bunch of stuff to do in Amsterdam.
It's class.
Like, one day we just got on a bike and cycled around. Now, we stopped in a load of places and had a pint, but like, you could just kind of cycle around the place. You're bopping around. You're just going over and back across these bridges, and you just keep stopping and starting. And it's one of these places where, and you could say this about a lot of places, but you go to Paris, it's massive.
Yeah.
It's the only downside is it's so big. There's very little people you'll actually get to stop and speak to. In Amsterdam, you bump into every nationality in the whole fucking world in Amsterdam, because it's so tight. You stop in a pub, you stop in a cafe, you're just having chats with people, and then you're moving on. You could meet everyone. Can you imagine all of us in our Irish mag stops doing this? Where are you from?
Chaos.
Pretty clear.
Chaos.
And
unreal.
To go back on what you said, Amsterdam Arena.
Unreal.
What would inspire you there now? Like, for those that don't know, and maybe some who don't remember Ajax. I mean, I remember Ajax in the 90s. Like, this was fucking elite level. Patrick Kluivert, De Boer brothers, Mark Overmars, fucking Ajax. And we've seen glimpses of it, but they haven't been themselves. But that arena is special.
So I played in the Eindhoven Arena when I was younger. So PSV Stadium, the Philips Stadion. Yeah, I played in that. So when I was over there, this was when I was 13 or 14, like, and I wanted to go from Eindhoven to Amsterdam to see the Ajax Arena. I've been to Amsterdam twice and have done the tour of the Ajax Arena. It's just such an amazing stadium. The area,
it's football heritage, though, isn't it? Like,
it's just that's exactly what
Johan
it is.
Cruyff, like, from there on, like, it's just
If we did get Ajax, I would strongly advise everyone to go the day before the game and do the tour. The stadium tour of the Amsterdam Arena is it's mind blowing. They have every single trophy you could ever think of. They have every single, like, player cap, whatever you want to see is in that stadium. It is, as you've just said, football heritage. It's just amazing. So that's why I want it on the list.
Okay, this list is getting competitive. I can tell you that much. We're still in pot 3 there. The only other quick shout, I've never been there. I've just heard so many things about it. Apparently, Lisbon is fucking unreal as a city, and I've genuinely never been there. I've been told
I just came back from it.
City. I don't know. Did you really? Are you serious?
Yeah, I was in Lisbon. That's why I missed the podcast.
You were in your
wedding in Lisbon.
I was told it was class. I don't know. By a non-football fan, I must add.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's nice, if you know what I mean. But now that I've been there, I was like, I will never come back there. Yeah, I wouldn't be rushing back. It just felt like being in Dublin, but the sun was shining a little bit more. But it wasn't even. We were in 23 degrees when I were over there. It was 26 degrees here, so I was very offended.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. And then the only other one that catches my eye out of pot 3, we talked about football heritage. The Stadio Armando Maradona in Naples. We mentioned
Yes.
Napoli already. They've just won the league. They're close to renaming it the fucking Stadio Scott McTominay McSauce fucking stadium at
Don't
this
blame
stage,
them.
which is wild. But again, Napoli, again, for anyone who's not like a football historian of sorts, Napoli and Maradona go hand in hand. And I am all for everything that Maradona ever stood for in terms of being an absolute genius on the football pitch and being an absolute fucking lunatic off the football pitch.
Yes.
I think we would take so much from that. There's just Maradona there's murals, there's museums. I could just chat if I could find someone from Napoli who just loves football and can speak English, we could just chat about it all day.
Yeah.
Like I'd be okay with that. I'd be fine. I'd just spend the day chatting to someone there. So that's another big shout. Okay. We have gone through what? So we've done. We've said Bernabeu. We've said Atalanta, which is Bergamo. We have said Bruges. We have said Amsterdam. We've mentioned Naples. We've mentioned a bit of Lisbon, Prague. How are the lads? Parc des Princes, Paris. And did I miss one there? Napoli, Naples. I said Naples. But we still have a whole pot 4 to go through, Alan. Jesus,
Pot 4 to go through.
This is way harder than I thought it was. Thank God we don't actually have that choice. So we're into pot 4. I'm just going to randomly shout out a few names for the listeners. Copenhagen are in here. The Serbian version of what is commonly known as Red Star Belgrade. Yeah. Alan, would you like to pronounce what's on the screen there for Red Star Belgrade?
Crvena Zvezda.
Alan's been drinking. Monaco. Monaco, obviously France. Ferencváros, who are Hungary, aren't they? Is that Robbie Keane?
Hungarian champs. Yeah, Robbie Keane. Yeah.
Oh, the Robbie Keane. There's some incentive. Galatasaray in here. Celtic, meh. Union Saint-Gilloise in here. And I'll just show you an interesting fact. Their sporting director is from Limerick, and his name is Chris O'Loughlin. Interesting fact for everyone. Random stat of the day. Just because they just won the Belgian League. But the one, obviously Newcastle in here, the one I haven't mentioned is my shout for this pot. And it's the home of where the worst Europa League final just took place. It's the San Mamés in Bilbao. I fucking love, first of all, Bilbao. I've seen documentaries about Bilbao. I've seen clips of it. I've seen images of it. But more importantly, I love everything about Athletic Club de Bilbao in terms of how they run as a football club. Again, for anyone who doesn't know, so Bilbao, Athletic Club de Bilbao, their self-imposed transfer policies, they can only have players who are Basque. So like the Basque part of Spain, they can only have players from that area, which is why anytime a player leaves, they cost an absolute fortune. See Kepa Arrizabalaga, whatever the goalkeeper, went to Chelsea, 70 million, not worth it. Plays for Bournemouth. But the passion of that place in terms of the love of football. And it's like they have like Real Sociedad are in there. I think Osasuna are also in there. It's not really about the rivalry because they're just so proud of the Basque thing. The flip side of it is Mikel Arteta is from there. But so is fucking Xabi Alonso is from there. Iraola is from there. I think Unai Emery is from there. It's actually ridiculous. The amount of top tier managers. This is a football fucking place. They're like, you talk about Newcastle being a football place, but it's also Newcastle and drinking. But like, this is just football. And I'd love to go and just experience that love of football. And for similar reasons, if some poor guy from Bilbao who speaks English is stupid enough to sit beside me for 10 pints, I will blow the ear off him talking about football and talking about Football Manager probably, but talking about Bilbao and all the different Basque players who have come through there. And Mikel Merino is one of them, I believe, as well.
He was. But they're essentially a county team, if you know, like speaking in terms that we know. They're essentially a Dublin, a Galway, a Limerick. You're going, that is insane that they are holding their own in the elite standard of European competition.
Repeatedly, like all the time. Never relegated, always top
league semi-final.
Yeah.
And they are, like, don't get me wrong, Spain is a talent hotspot, if you know what I mean. But the Basque region to constantly producing such talent, like the Williams brothers, are they still playing for them?
They're both still there, yeah. Both of them are still there. Wild stuff.
They're like, how? Obviously, they keep their players because they hold them to such contracts that they just don't sell them unless you meet their release clause. They just do not sell their players, which they're probably right to do in a sense.
And they pay them very well because like they're a wealthy club. They have a huge fan base, and when, as I said, when they sell, like Ander Herrera, who you remember went to Man United, he came from there. Massive fee. Kepa, as we mentioned, Emerick Laporte was there before he went to Man City. Griezmann is actually technically Basque. I don't know if he ever actually played for Bilbao, but he was at Sociedad before he went to Atletico Madrid, I think. There's like a whole wealth of players, but again, like imagine, like Alan said, imagine if the rules of county hurling and GAB applied to football, applied to soccer. It'd be wild. So I'd absolutely love to go to Bilbao, and again, I think it's quite accessible. Nab an all flight down from Dublin to Bilbao wouldn't take too long.
Yeah.
Fully on board with this.
Oh yes, fully on board with this.
Who is your pot 4 selection, Alan Williamson?
See, I would love to say Galatasaray and all that jazz, but I just can't because that's terrifying.
We wouldn't come out of it with our lives. The Irish Mags, I'm sorry.
It's the welcome to hell, and you're going, it's terrifying. Not the other. No.
They'd run us out of it with the pitchforks. Like.
Yeah, the Celtic one, we're playing them in a preseason friendly. If people are non-Newcastle fans and think that all Irish people support Celtic, if Celtic were on in my back garden, I'd close the curtains. That SPL is a disaster of a league. The worst thing to ever happen to the SPL was Rangers going out of it. The league is dead. So that whole thing of everyone loves Celtic, no, a lot of crap. I don't want to be playing them. If we did get them, I'd be disappointed if we didn't beat them 5-0.
Agreed.
You brought them up already. Like I could say Copenhagen, but I was in Copenhagen before, and it cost an absolute I think it was like 16 quid for a pint and a packet of crisps, and I nearly cried. Dear. Yeah, I nearly cried. I'm not going back there. So I'm gonna go with the shout you've already said, which is Union Saint-Gilloise. So the Belgian champions.
Alan, he really wants this pint of Le Chouf again.
I'm getting back to Belgium. That's the main thing. I don't know much about them. I know they played Liverpool a couple of years ago in something. I think it might have been the Europa League. Maybe. I'm not too sure, but if we got them, I'd be very disappointed if we didn't beat them. So it'd be nice to see an away game that we actually win, considering we didn't win any of our previous forays into Europe and away from home. Well, the last time
we don't talk about that.
Yeah. So my pick from that is it's going to be Union Saint-Gilloise.
Well, I mean, it helps. As I mentioned, they have an Irish sporting director.
Yeah.
He'll surely look after the lads.
For tickets.
He'll set us up. He's from Limerick. We'll get on to the boys down in the Limerick section of the Irish Mags. They'll get on to him and he'll sort us out. What I will say is they're one of these, like, I suppose you can compare them to like a Brentford or a Brighton. They're like this really well-run club. They source players really well and they sell them on for massive fees and then they reinvest it. And, you're talking about the Belgian league that has always been kind of dominated by like Anderlecht. Shout out to Kevin Bazunu. Is he at Anderlecht or is he at Bruges? He's at Bruges, actually.
Is he not gone back to Southampton now? Is he not on loan?
Could be gone back now, yeah. But like basically, you're looking at that Belgian league, which has always been Anderlecht and Club Bruges, Antwerp probably at some point. This team has kind of come up and it's kind of surpassed them all by being extremely well run, be very clever with recruitment. That said, I still think yes, we should be absolutely expecting to beat them, and it'll be interesting to see where these draws land. I kind of want to go to all these places.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem.
I haven't even mentioned Frankfurt. Frankfurt is fucking class. Like
unreal.
Germany obviously is unreal. Like even going somewhere kind of like, I don't want to say off the beaten track, but like, can you imagine if we all end up having to go to Belgrade? Like,
or to Norway, to Bodo Glimt.
To Glimt. Like, think about when we're trying to organize the Irish Mags trips and you're putting in the polls about who's getting what flights to Newcastle from Dublin and Belfast. Like,
I have problems organising a five-a-side down the road. Would you give over about organising anything else, will you? Good God.
Oh my God, that's going to be fun. I actually kind of dread the thought of it. But you know what? I think we could delegate this. This sounds like a Sean Bowes job to me if there ever was one.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to agree on 4. And listeners, by the way, if you're listening, if you're watching, get it in the comments, Spotify, YouTube. Which 4 would you like to go? Is there any we've missed? But if we were to pick 4, we're just going to pick 4, Al. I'm going to go to you, then me, then you, then me. We're just going to land on 4. So you pick your top 2. I'll pick my top 2. And then we'll try and write them down and remember for when that draw. I don't even know when it happens. Is it July it happens? I don't think it's June.
Is it not the 25th of August? I thought the Premier League fixtures are on the 18th.
I thought it was July.
Sorry, July, and then it's the 25th of July.
Yeah. As in, I don't think it's any earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. You went for Bernabeu first. I assume I'm not going to dissuade you away from the Bernabeu, and it's very hard.
I need to get to see Newcastle play in the Bernabeu. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just need it.
I'm fully okay and on board with the Bernabeu. So if we're going to the Bernabeu, that means we're not going to Bilbao. It makes me sad.
No, if we go to the
Bernabeu,
Bernabeu, it means we're not going to PSG. We play one.
Well, what I mean is, if we're going to the Bernabeu, I'm not going to choose a second Spanish team. We're not going to Spain twice.
Fair.
Spain won't have us twice. Do you know what I mean? Like
that's all right. Yeah,
we'll
be banned
in and out, and then we'll be banned for life. Okay, so Bernabeu is definitely on board. I would definitely. I'm kind of looking at Bergamo, but yeah, do you know what? I'm going to go at Atalanta for the Bergamo. We've done the San Siro, even though it is absolutely class. Juventus is there, but they're just not the club they were in terms of like the fans even hate them. The fans hate the owners. I just don't know if
we could get to see Lloyd Kelly play again.
We could in black and white as well, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Yeah, which is a big incentive. I think I'll stick with Bergamo, Alan.
Fair enough, that's all right. Yeah.
I would like to go to Bergamo. Again, it's just Atalanta. Again, it's because I've read this book and obviously I've followed Atalanta. Their story is unbelievable, and I just really want to go there. So I'm going with Bergamo for number 2. Over to you.
Going for pot 3. I'm gonna have to go with Ajax. I just need to see football heritage again. Newcastle play against Ajax in the Amsterdam Arena. Or the Johan Cruyff Arena, as it's called. Yeah.
I mean, we do need to get the Irish Mags to Amsterdam. Yeah. We belong. I think we'll fit in well there. They love us there.
I'm not running anything for that one.
Oh God, no! It's every man for himself.
Yeah. No.
Every man for himself. Okay, here's where it gets interesting. Because obviously there will be a pot 4 away trip.
Yes.
I'm still looking at Prague there, but their down is currently projected to be pot 3. So I would vote Prague, but if I can't have Prague, it's a tough one for the pot 4.
Could go with the Robbie Keane. Will be a show.
Do you know what? It wouldn't be a bad shot. From what I mean, I don't even know what city they're in Hungary, to be honest. No. Because there's, I mean, our research is clearly very thorough here, folks.
Yeah.
I kind of want to shout Copenhagen for the John Dahl Thomas and Peter Lovekrans vibes. Just like we just all whip out the retro jerseys with John Dahl Thomason and Peter Lovekrans on them and just reignite the Danish love for Newcastle that once existed and never has since. I'd be okay with Copenhagen as a city I'd never been to. Other than that, see, I don't know about the San Gilloise thing, to be honest. And Monaco is too expensive. We can't go to Monaco. We just can't afford it.
Just had a quick look there. So Ferencváros are based in Budapest.
We're going to Budapest. George Ezra is going to sing the song.
Yes.
I didn't want to commit to it. I assumed they probably were, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so did I.
Right. Miles from Budapest, George Ezra on repeat the whole way over on the plane. We're going to Budapest. Sold. Ferencváros, Robbie Keane will have to put us all up. Claudine will have the tea on. How are the lads? Robbie Keane is going to become an Irish mag. Who saw that one coming? Okay, so we're going to the Bernabeu, we're going to Bergamo, we're going to the Amsterdam Arena, and then we're going to finish off with a nice trip to Budapest. Yes. The last question, Alan, and this will be a bit of a quick fire round. We need to pick 4 teams who you'd like to have at home.
Yes.
In St. James's Park. Yes. From these pots. Who are you going for? And just shout me the 4 that you can see on this screen.
So I'll go with Barcelona. I'll go with Bayer Leverkusen.
We can't have Real Madrid and Barcelona in the same. I mean, we can, but do we really want this? Like, holy
yes, fuck. Yes. So I want Barcelona. I want Bayer Leverkusen. I want Marseille to rectify a wrong that happened to us many a year ago and beat them 15-0 and fuck Marseille. Yes. Then home to Crvena Zvezda or Copenhagen, one of those two, so that we can get a guaranteed win.
We do need 3 points in this one because you're going for all the hardest teams. We do need to win. Like, we need some guaranteed wins here.
Yes.
I kind of want Bayern Munich in St. James's Park.
That's fair enough. I'd happily allow any of those clubs to come to St. James's so I can watch it. I want Dan Burn to hammer the living fuck out of Harry Kane and just put it to bed. I think Dan Burn would love to play Harry Kane again. He wouldn't. He doesn't fear that kind of a striker, so I'm fine with that. Okay, I'm going Bayern Munich.
We are having Atletico Madrid over for the Sela Cup. Otherwise, I definitely would have picked them. I would have been like, bring Diego Simeone over. Great. Eddie Howe and him have had some times together. In the absence of that, I feel like Juventus over to St. James's Park. Even, I'd rather not go there, but let's bring they are a bit of a mess, but like you've got the black and white, you've got the Lloyd Kelly. I think we could bring Juventus over and have a bit of crack with them. They're such an iconic name of a team. They might not be what they were, but like Newcastle against Juventus, it just has a ring to it. Outside of that, I'm torn. As much as I would like, I'd love to say let's bring Bodo Glimt over, or even Olympiacos. Mightn't be as much crack. Let's say PSV. I'd be okay with PSV. Couple of players to keep an eye on. I'm mad for fucking Bakayoko. I still think it's going to happen. I still think it can happen. He had a decent season. I think he scored like 9 goals. Keep an eye on that one. And then from that pot 4 over to St. James's Park, just for the laugh. I don't know. Fuck it. We'd bring over. I think we'd bring over Galatasaray. Let's see if we can finally bring in some fans who could try and match us for crack, because it's been a bit like there's not many fan bases that can come over. Galatasaray over, Alan Williamson in the middle of the park doing the Graham Souness, throw the flag in the middle of the field, fucking start winding them up. Maybe we'll get Criscio to do that. He's expendable. I need you around, Alan.
Thanks.
Right. That was a bit of an off the cuff kind of let's pick and choose what trips we want to do, what teams we want to come to St. James's Park, where we'd like to go. It's such early days, we don't even fully know what teams are going to be in each pot, let alone the Champions League. But what we do know is Newcastle United are in the fucking Champions League and will not be stopped. So keep an eye out on what's going to happen. Let us know your own thoughts in the comments. Where would you like to go? And the most important thing, Alan, is when can we start booking flights? As soon as the draw is announced, believe you and me, the Irish Mags will be all over it.
Oh, yes.
There will be airports in it. And do you know what I really should have done, Alan, is researched, are any of these cities connectable via Shannon Airport? Because that would just suit me even better. And that would have dictated all my decisions.
I have told you many a time, there's always a bed in my house for you that you can just fly out of with me. Don't worry about that.
It's the 2-hour drive up and down, Alan, that sort of ruins the crack, particularly the 2-hour drive home. You know what kind of shape I'm in when I'm coming home. But yes, let us know what you think, folks. Shout them in the comments, in the groups. I can't wait for the draw to come out. I can't wait to hear the Champions League anthem again, one more time. I won't lie, I do listen to it every now and again just to get myself riled up, because it was happening.
It was my ringtone when we were in the Champions League, and I can tell you for nothing, it'll be my ringtone as soon as this next season starts again, because it's the be all and end all of football at the end of the day. We went 20 years without it, and we are finally back to the Holy Land. It's great.
Every time Alan Williamson's phone rings, he stands up like Jacob Murphy, puts the hand in the chest, and he just starts bawling, crying. Ring Alan Williamson if you get a chance as soon as he changes his ringtone.
Love it.
On that massive bombshell, we'll put his number in the description. That brings an end to episode 78 of the Irish Mags Show. Do check out theirishmags.com for all the latest updates. We put all the latest pictures up from the last trip. Even though we didn't beat Everton, we did get to the Champions League, and that's all that matters. Plus all the fun day, all the war flags, all the charity cup. And follow us all on the socials as well. We'll be back for more Irish Madness next week. Maybe Criscio will be here. And we're going to start slowly talking about transfers. And I think it's time we start getting some guests lined up as well. And we're going to actually have a host of guests joining us over the summer. Keep your eyes peeled. So until then, Alan, thank you for joining me. Listeners, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you all next week. How are the lads? Slán go fóill.
Way the lads. Slán a